Okay, I call the meeting to order at 6:07. And with that, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Ready? Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, can we have the roll call, please?
Roll call, Chair Seremian,
Here.
Vice Chair Herrera,
Here.
Treasurer Gallardo, Secretary Avalos, and for Alanis.
Okay, number 5, potential conflict of interest. Oh, public comment, sorry. This is the opportunity for members of the public to address the board on any matter related to the commission that's not on our agenda today. So with that, is there anybody in the audience that'd like to have something to say? Okay, no, with that, I will close public comments. Number 5, potential conflict of interest. Any board members who have a potential conflict of interest may now identify the item and recuse themselves from discussing or voting on the matters. None? Okay. Number 6, approval of the minutes of the May 9th, 2023 regular meeting. You guys can take a look at that and get a motion in a second.
I make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second? Okay, second. We get a vote? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. That's done. Number 7, information items. There are none currently. Okay, we're gonna move to number 8. And with this, I'm gonna move a few things around. But before I do that, I want to make a bit of a statement regarding the format that we've chosen and voted on. As the chair, regarding the agendas and the mini grants and how this board works now, we've restructured to 10 mini grants at 5,000 apiece. And so we've had some issues with people, how do I say it? Requesting a mini grant, but they're proposing more money than the cap. So going forward, I think it's going to be the board's position that this is the money, this is how it is, this is our ruling. It was approved by all 5 of us. So going forward, any application for any proposal for a mini grant, other than for the 5,000, I think we're going to have to just set it aside, not review it. And you guys are well able to attempt the next meeting to come back with a $5,000 proposal. And I think my whole board would agree on that. And saying that, what I'd like to do is I would like to move item B and C in front of A for tonight. So we'll start with the proposal from the Chamber of Commerce for the memorial honoring the fallen, unless you have something, Ken, to add.
Well, did you said moving B and C, so the first item B is the proposal from the Selma Police Officers Association to support the Selma police officers. So that would be the first.
Oh, I
item.
got you. I got you. I
And
was
then
reading C.
And then the chamber. And just to clarify, my understanding, Chair Seremian, is that for item B and C, those were items that were specifically requested by the board at the last meeting, which I was not present.
That is
And
correct.
so my understanding from talking with you is that those items are not subject to the micro grants because those were specifically requested by the board to come forth.
That's correct.
Okay.
And hence why I'm pushing them in front of the mini grant proposals. Okay, so with that, of our chief of police step forward, and I believe we have some itinerary here. Item B, yes.
Good evening, Chair and members of the board. First again, additionally, thank you again for allowing me to come up and be here in front of all of you today. What I've given all of you some literature, some information regarding a healthy snack bar proposal that we would like to facilitate at the police department for our police officers. Once again, you know, our officers typically work 12-hour shifts, 4 days 1 week, 3 days the next. But you know, it seems to be in our profession now, we're always short-staffed. Hiring people almost in any industry is difficult, especially law enforcement. With that said, our staff, our police officers, our dispatchers work long hours, and many times they get stuck at crime scenes or just the extreme demand of our personnel going from call to call to call. With that, many times it's hard to get a good meal. So we a lot of times rely on just a little snack or something to get us through until we can sit down and have a proper meal, if that ever comes. With that, that's why we were proposing to do a healthy snack bar at the police department. And part of that healthy snack bar, we also thought about it'd be great to have an ice machine. Just like our cohorts in the fire department, they get hot and overexhausted. The equipment that we use is very heavy. It's not breathable. And so it being when it's 115 degrees outside and you're wearing body armor and you're going from call to call to call, that exacerbates the heat index for our bodies. So some ice would be great to add to their water bottles and jugs to keep them cool and keep them on the move. Additionally to that, we were hoping to purchase a beverage cooler so that we could keep ice cold drinks stocked as well for them, and healthy drinks, something that's going to keep them hydrated and keep them moving, because that is the demand that they have. And again, their boss is not very forgiving, so he expects a lot of them. Additionally, we were hoping to stock that snack bar with some healthy snacks that they could grab with them on the go, keep with them for those events where they're stuck out on the streets for numerous hours. And we were hoping to do about approximately $200 a month times 12 months, which is approximately $2,400. And lastly, we were hoping to do some shelving to actually hold all these items, which were estimated approximately $1,100. And additionally, that includes all the kind of miscellaneous items that'll be needed to ensure that it's not just displayed, but displayed well, so it is easy to access. And need be, if we had to, we could grab it and take it with us so that we could get it out to an event. So so that is the reason for this proposal. And so I'd appreciate your consideration. With us also is Christian Gazar. He is our SPOA president. What I would say is that when the board came to us and we talked, I said, I'm so appreciative that you reached out to us and wanted to do something for our personnel. It's something unfamiliar to the police department. We're not the fire department. We don't get cookies and cupcakes all the time. So this is an uncharted territory for us, but I kid about that. Chief Peterson, I told him I was going to say that joke. But that said, when you did come to me and we sat down and spoke, I said I wanted to meet with the POA because as their police chief, we try to purchase and provide them with tools and training that's going to be useful to them and create a culture where those tools will be used. So I try not to do anything that I don't consult with our personnel with to ensure that that we have buy-in so that we don't buy snacks that are just sitting on the shelf for a year and not getting eaten. That's not money well spent. So we want to be thoughtful and mindful of the resources because they are limited, and maximize those resources for you and for us and for the community. So I really appreciate your consideration.
Okay. All right, thank you. I guess we'll bring it back to discussion for the board.
Thank you.
Oh, by the way, before you leave, any questions for our police chief from the board? No? Okay.
Thank you all again.
One more
Chief, could I ask you a quick question? And I
Yes, sir.
apologize burdening the board with this, but I see that the applicant is the Selma Police Officers Association. Is that a 501c3 or is that a 501c6?
I believe it's a C6.
I think that may be a problem because I think the authorized recipient under our rules is either a 501c3 or a governmental entity. Is it possible that if the board takes action to authorize all or any part of this, that the funds could go to the city of Selma as opposed to the 501c6?
We could do that. I'm sure we could do that. I'm certain. I know we have the Selma Enhancement Corporation. We're trying to work our way away from that. But that's still a process, right? How do we do that legitimately? I know that we have some citizens as well that we are looking at creating the Selma police officers.
Like a foundation,
It went out of my head right there.
but
The
a
Selma Police
501c3
Foundation, which would be a
foundation,
bona fide 501c3.
right.
So, but we're still a few months away from that, I believe, maybe weeks. We're close. So
I know
that-
the board is authorized to make the contribution to the city as a governmental entity. As long as the city is amenable to that and assuming the board agrees to all this, that's permissible.
I can have that
And we
conversation.
agreed at the last meeting for the 10,000 for the snack bar and the 10,000 for the memorial. And if you're gonna look at those, the IDs you're talking about, then why weren't they looked at prior to from the last meeting we
Well, the
met?
last meeting, we hadn't qualified
Well,
this
we were
particular-
under the assumption that we agreed to 10,000. That's what I thought.
Well, but he was coming back for the refrigerator. There were some items that had to be finished
Oh,
up.
I
don't
could have
think we-
sworn we spoke
didn't-
and
I
we
don't think we
said
voted on it.
we didn't
either.
take a final
the
vote
10
on it.
to 10,000 for each one. I'd have to look back at the video, but I'm not sure. So I had already pre-packed these. Did their packets, because that's what I thought Chief and the SPOA needed, was just the front cover packets.
Hmm,
And they already received that 10,000.
yeah, no,
for the
I
snack
thought we
bar.
were waiting. Again, my thoughts were is we were waiting for Chief to get back to us on relooking at, because I remember myself, I suggested
Did you catch
a
that, Chip,
larger
yet?
ice machine. Not ice machine, a larger refrigerator
right.
unit, and to bring back to us along with everything else. But I do recall you said that annually there was gonna be roughly $2,400 for the contents, but we were
And that
going
was
to
on there?
readjust the not the ice maker, but the refrigerator unit.
Yes, sir.
If I'm correct.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, so that wasn't
Okay.
settled. And then I just assumed with that, we were going to bring it over to this special meeting since we were having it. And then agree to everything, the monument for Officer Carrasco as a final vote. And also with part two, the B on the snack bar.
So item number 8C was an information item ad hoc committee update. And my apologies because I wasn't
That's
present.
okay.
Yeah, no,
That's
no,
what
no.
I thought. I thought we were meeting here for the auditor.
So the ad hoc committee update, it just says report from the police chief regarding
well-
how, you have it in front of you and you adopted it. So I think this is the actual action item. And again, not suggesting it's not appropriate. I'm just suggesting that the recipient be a different entity.
And then
Okay,
our
well,
motion would be
We'll
to
get it
include that,
fixed.
that the recipient be acceptable for.
No, that the city be the city of,
City,
the
okay,
recipient be
okay,
the city of
alright.
Selma.
So is that our next move is since we're done with our police chief, that we bring it back to our,
Well, we should vote on it, no?
well, okay, then that, all right,
I want
thank
to
you.
vote. They need their stuff.
Well, I'm just doing it protocol.
Well, okay, so we've already sent the check to the SPOA. Right?
Yes, I
Oh.
went and delivered the check.
Okay, so now we need to get the check back because it needs to be voided and the check needs to now go to the city, right?
That's correct.
Okay,
Okay, wait a minute now. Is that on the monument or on the, see, there's two things here.
I don't know.
Ken, there is, okay, let me see if
I
I
know.
can get
Go
it
ahead.
straight. So we have two things going on with the police department. One is we approach him with regards to the monument that's going in the plaza in front of the police department for Officer Carrasco, which we agreed as a board at that time at the May 9th meeting was to agree to the 10,000 donation. And that's with, I believe, Chamber of Commerce.
So
So
now
thi-
I'm a little confused because on this agenda, we have proposal from the chamber regarding the
It's,
memorial.
it's the business, the Selma Business Cooperative. That's the memorial for Officer Gonzalo
C-
Carrasco.
C is the memorial. Item B
Right,
is a snack bar, which was going to go under the POA, which now has to go
to the
under the
city.
city.
That's correct.
Okay, so that's the one that we have to vote on. The only thing that I see regarding the check given out earlier is we also passed on May 9th, the 2 signature check. So if we're going to cancel a check and reissue, we need to, I'm just saying, going forward, we need to get that also taken care of. And we elected Debbie because of their rapport.
Yeah, that's all fine. And what we'd have to do is, first of all, you're gonna need an action on item number 8B to authorize a $10,000 contribution to the city of Selma for the purposes described in the proposal.
Okay,
So that's the
knock
first
that
thing.
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So if somebody wants to,
I have a question.
Go.
We're gonna write the check to the city of Selma and the city of Selma will pay it out to them.
So, I mean, the city of Selma would facilitate the acquisition of the goods that were described in the proposal.
And we can guarantee that that money is going to be used for what we are,
That's what the agreement packet shows that which they received already.
okay,
It's his proposal is attached to the agreement,
right.
and that agreement is pretty much saying if you don't use the money for what you get, you're gonna have to return it.
That's with them.
well, that's with the POA.
Everybody, anybody
But
who
the
gets
Okay, but
city, now we need
the
it with the
That's
city,
gonna have to be attached
to the
when the
city.
check goes to the city, correct?
Yeah,
See what I
Yeah,
mean?
if the city
Well,
has
well,
a
because-
different tax ID number,
You have a check written out right now for this snack bar?
they're already
already have it.
delivered it
Oh,
to
they
them.
already, okay.
So
And
we're
what
gonna-
about the Carrasco?
No, it's right here.
Oh,
okay,
okay, all right.
So just-
Everybody else's check
just
is
to
right here.
clarify,
yes.
the Selma Police Officers Association would agree to provide the funds back to the district, correct?
Okay.
So this action is going to be to allocate according to our agreement, and there'd be an agreement executed with the city of Selma
Mm-hmm.
on the terms that we discussed.
So then we're not gonna use the SPOA ID. What's the city, what ID are we using for the city?
The
of Selma?
city has its own
Oh,
ID
Okay,
number.
what is it? Does anybody know?
I don't have the exact numbers. I can
No?
get those, but it's called the Selma Enhancement Corporation.
Okay, so hold on.
Oh.
Just-
So that's gonna be. the
So this
point of
is gonna be a
clarification.
problem, okay?
Yes.
Because
So
she's
here's,
using that tax ID for
she's
the
using
swim,
it
which
for
was
the
already
swim.
approved. And we're only allowed one
But-
per year.
But this
per-
is for the ad hoc,
This
it's
is
not the
not-
mini grant.
This is not mini
Process,
grant
no.
to the.
Okay, it
to
does.
these.
I'm just saying, you know.
No, no,
you-
no,
you-
I got
don't
that.
matter to me. I want them to get what they need.
But I'm saying as.
I want
as-
everybody to get what they
As
need.
this is unfolding, we're coming up to.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying,
We're qualified,
nine-
why? Yeah,
your tax ID
yeah, right.
is the enhancement, Selma Enhancement Corporation.
That's
correct.
That-
So with,
But we can also, if the board allows it, because it is two separate, classifications or whatever. The Selma Enhancement Corp is the tax ID for the nonprofit
So
under
you
Selma.
have that information.
So I have
That
that
was
number.
her-
It is
so
a
I just have to
501(c)(3).
change-
We're
Yes,
gold.
Right.
absolutely.
That's perfect.
So, and I can provide that number right now if someone would like to write it
Okay.
I
down.
have it.
Or you have it within
Uh,
my,
Got it because of.
the other
the
one.
SWIFT.
Perfect.
94,
So it's just-
600,
This is all
0431.
just a clarification thing.
Yes,
So
that's correct.
basically, yours is part of the mini grant program.
Got it.
This is
Okay, so
separate.
let me put that on here so
Okay,
that we
yeah,
don't
yeah,
get
yeah.
mixed up.
But yes, so that Selma Enhancement Corp
Okay,
is the
got it.
donation fund for us to be able to fund.
Okay,
some
so
of
then
these
I'll
other-
just
entities.
redo I'll just add that 9. I'm gonna add the enhancement to the one he just presented. That little front sheet for the snack bar and then get that
Rewrite-
check. and
Get that
rewrite-
check back
okay.
and then we'll redo it.
Okay, but we need to we need to still vote on it,
Okay,
correct?
so it's been,
Okay, we'll
has been
fix it.
proposed,
You had a motion and a second.
motion in a second. So.
Last time,
Oh, yeah.
not now, not this.
No,
one.
So we'll need
we
a
have a
motion in
new,
a second.
we have to.
Okay,
She has questions.
I have another question.
Go.
So are we gonna make a motion to accept this? Or we're gonna wait until she gets the agreement with the city?
There's no need.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
would be conditioned on an
Okay.
agreement with the city.
Okay.
of
And the
Selma
conditions are based with,
Or with the 501(c)(3.
Okay.
arm of the
right,
city.
so your
Okay.
question got answered
Yeah,
with that.
okay.
So all the
I just wanna make
prerequisites
sure.
are, okay. So with that, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion to grant
I'll
the snack bar. for-
second.
Can we have a second? So now we need a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Hi.
and it passed. Okay, that was item B.
Here. Great.
Okay, and we're good, right,
Yes,
Letitia?
we're
Okay,
good.
all right,
I will get the check and I'll get that all.
okay,
Don't
all
worry,
right.
we'll fix it.
Okay, so now with
I'll be there
C,
tomorrow.
with C, we'll have to, Rudy, I'll have you get back up and I think this one's pretty much discussed.
Yeah, just do a quick.
Of
intro.
course.
No, you can get those down. It'll be quick. Again, thank you all again. Oh, sorry.
Oh, hold on one second. Yeah, there was action. I don't even know if it, did you, okay, on the memorial. We agreed on the 10,000, which you have the check here.
Yes,
So it's already been done,
Last meeting we did.
but it wasn't voted on?
I
Okay,
mean,
I think what it was is we were carrying it because of the snack bar and kind of put them together. So why don't we do this? I don't believe we
Go
need to
ahead.
hear from Rudy unless anybody's got any
no, we
more
don't.
questions. I think what we'll do is with item C, we'll just go ahead and I guess make a motion, have it second, and then
Well,
we'll vote.
Director Giardo, did we write a check as well for this
Right
one?
here.
Oh,
It's
we
right here.
have it written out already.
Yes,
And the recipient is the Selma
Car.
Chamber of Commerce or the Selma
here.
Business Collaborative?
Good evening. Shar Tucker, I'm the president of the Selma Chamber, and we are helping our police department collect the money for the memorial because we have a 501(c)(3), so those donations would be tax deductible.
Thank you. That's perfect.
Good.
Okay, very good. So
And
then,
then, Char, did you have that receipt for me or?
I do.
Okay, perfect.
okay, so at that point, we're kind of like bouncing back and forth, but let's go back to that we need a motion. We need a second, then we need to vote, then she's got the check and she's got the whatever receipt, so we're good, okay? So with that, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion for the,
Okay, we got a
Okay.
motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's passed. And thank you very much. And now we're going to go to item A, which is a proposal from the Selma Park and Recreation regarding payment of the swimming pool fees.
All right, good evening, Chair and board members. I'm back today with the final numbers from last year's swim, as requested from the board. Last year, we had just under 850 people attend the open swim at the high school. That brought in a total of just under $1,700. And at this time, I'm open to any questions and just bringing back those numbers for you guys
Well,
to discuss.
I'm proud to say that I'm getting, my phone's blowing up with you guys advertising on the swim and the fact that we're gonna keep the kids safe
Yes.
or all people safe from the waterways since we're having such a problem. With that, I think our question was last time around, if everyone's okay with this, is we're talking about picking up the gate fees.
Yes.
And last year it was 800 and
It was just under 850.
850 people.
Correct.
Okay. Also, it was 8 weekends. Is that correct?
Correct.
So now we have 10 weekends.
We do. We have additional weekends because we have 4th of July and just typically 4th of July, the last few years has landed on the weekend. So the pool hasn't been open due to the holiday. And then we just picked up another weekend it was either the front side or the back side. But
Okay.
yes,
And also there was, in the past, we had granted $7,700.
correct.
So is there any way you can tell me exactly what that covered?
So that covers the fees for the use of the pool, because we do have to pay for the pool, obviously, and it covers the cost of the lifeguards, because we do have to have quite a few lifeguards on duty, the overall program, insurance, and such.
Okay.
The $2 at the fee was the additional amount that would have paid for the contractor that we use to finish out the contract.
So in this season, you're still gonna have that $7,700 fees
Correct.
along with the gate, which
Correct.
once you say it's free, we have no way of really knowing how many people will take advantage of that. It could double, it could be.
Correct. So
third of-
historically, that $2 gate fee was not paid by the city. It was paid by the people at entrance.
Okay.
So yes, there, at this time, I have no idea what those numbers could be. I can just tell you what we had last year. So the board, should you decide, I mean, we can still keep the $2, or if the board would like to do more, you can set a dollar amount that we can go up to, and then we can cap it at that and just say, that's what we have for that $2. At that time, we can also look within my budget to see if that's something that I can get us to cover the remaining of the year. We have several different options, but unfortunately that's prepaid and I don't have a magic ball.
Do you have access to monies from anywhere else to go with ours?
At current, I cannot because our budget does not get adopted until June 19th
Oh, boy.
for this next year. So I can't commit to anything at this point, unfortunately. Again, like I said, I have budgeted money requests next year because we know for next year we will have some fees in June in that fiscal year that I will be applying. But again, at this time, nothing's been approved by council. So I can't make that commitment.
So, you can see my concerns after rethinking this. I want this because of the issues. I mean, since our meeting last time around, we had an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old drown. So it's very important this year that we promote the swimming program to being practical. I'm speaking on behalf of myself, that I would like it to be free so people take advantage of it. I don't want to see them going in the canals. I don't want to see them, having issues in the river, but we've also got standards because we're using this as a mini grant at the $5,000 level. So,
But we did agree to cover the 7,700,
did.
correct?
We voted.
did.
We
Okay.
voted
Just
that-
wanna make sure.
okay, okay.
Yes,
all right.
that portion has
bad. I
already,
apologize.
that's why we were able to release all the marketing and things like that. So we do have,
I saw
confused.
something here that said 5,000, so that's
Yeah.
why I was backpedaling, but so we're discussing
now fees,
Just
correct?
the
We're
gate- the gate.
discussing the gate fee.
The gate charge,
Yeah,
correct.
the gate
So
charge.
in like I said, in past years, it's been a $2 entrance fee. The community is aware. We do currently have on hand 3 different flyers so that we can post right away if there's any changes that the board commits to. One that says gate fees covered until further notice. And then another one that says gate fees are covered. Thank you. And again, you know, you guys, your name
Right,
is
right, right.
located on there. So again, at this point, you have been more than generous. I appreciate allowing, especially me for being new, moving forward with this program. It's just up to the board on, you know, anything additional from there.
Well, let me do this. Let's take a step back, unless you guys have any more questions for Amy.
That we would give them 7,700 at the last meeting,
Correct.
and then you're coming back for more for the gate fees.
But we asked her to come
We
back.
asked her
with-
to come
Okay.
I asked her to find out how many people went through last year. And we discussed the possibility of picking up the gate fee, making it free because of the urgency of the season regarding
Safety. for the
safety with the
citizens.
waters. Because generally families are going to the lakes, they're going to the river, they're doing all that stuff, and they can't do that this year. So this is the one time because of the safety issue is why I brought that up. So I would like to discuss things, everyone's input. And if we need to, we'll get, Amy can stay there or we can have her sit down and get back up. Whatever you guys feel like,
I
but it
think we
needs to
should
be
cover it.
discussed. And the thing is we don't have an exact figure. You know, is it, we just match last year's 800, if that's the possibility, or do we double it if it's for, again,
How about
I'm
we
not-
just do 1,000, just to see how that would work? Additional
I
thousand.
agree.
So, if I could make a recommendation, just my personal recommendation, similar to before, we do have some things that we need to do on our end as a city to get the next budget passed, right? I will know more information in the coming weeks that if the city can provide funds to cover the gate, we can have those conversations. I just legally can't do that until I have formal approvals. So I have no problem, you know, if the board, you know, kind of meet halfway, if the board would like to approve the first 1,000, and then I come back in July and say, okay, here's our update, here's our plan. Is there room for wiggle room? And do you want to do more? Or again, I don't know until I get those budget numbers, but I also know your position because you can only do so much. So if the rate needs to be a little lower, so that we can get to the July month and I have a better handle on what we're looking at from the budget or from the city's budget, I'm absolutely okay with coming back if that's what the board would
well,
like.
correct me if I'm wrong. I think if we did the 1,000 people, which would be a $2,000 increase, right? If you didn't use the 2,000, I think it'd be better to vote it in that way. Am I correct? Instead of increments? Because our next meeting would be August
August.
1st.
Oh, you don't meet in July.
Yeah.
Got you.
So-
Okay.
So
My
if
apologies.
we did, let's just say hypothetically, we've already agreed to 7,700.
Correct.
So we're pending on the gate tag.
Correct.
So if we do 77 plus $2 at 1,000 gate people or whatever, that would be 9,200. No, 9,700, $2,000 at 1,000 going in?
Yeah.
So it'd be $9,700 on the grant for this. And then you use, if it's 1,000, if you use 500 people, or you understand it.
Yes, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
And again, I think we should have a discussion amongst the 5 of us, because I think everyone's got their own ideas, which I want to hear. So with that, let me open it up to discussion with the board members.
I'm good adding additional. To
Okay.
get the kids in for free, or people, how many, just really quick, how many people are allowed in one day from the 12 to 4? Is that what it was?
Oh, I would have to
Um,
look at the capacity. I don't know that
yeah, I was
offhand. There
just
is a
wondering,
capacity
Because
count.
they're, I
Absolutely.
mean, once people
Absolutely.
see that it's probably gonna be like, oh, it's free, we can, there's.
Well,
probably gonna
I'm
get more
sure
people,
there's gotta
so-
be, yeah.
But I mean, you can't put an amount on people's safety, especially kids. I mean, it's hot, it's gonna get hotter. And, you know, they,
Well, I'm all for it. I think it's a very,
Yeah.
especially for this year and with Amy being new, at least it gives you a little bit of help on this year. And again, one would hope that next year the waterways aren't going to be an issue and they'll be opened up, and that's the key of the urgency of this particular time. So.
Well, I have a question.
Go.
Our limit is 5,000, but we went ahead last time and said, we're gonna give you 7,700. And then she comes back and she wants more. So when do we say no?
We,
Well, no, no.
asked for this.
I know, but-
We requested her to come back with that.
Okay,
I don't want you to think that
Right.
Amy asked for the gate.
No, no, no,
It
no.
was all on me.
I understand
yeah.
that, but there's gotta be a times where we said, we've already said this amount and
that amount, the 7,700 is going to the American Swim.
yes.
So
Well, and that's what I don't know if it's a combination of two grants. I know it's one entity. I don't know how we can justify it so we don't set a precedent.
Mhm.
Okay, that's a concern of myself. I know this is a one-time deal because of the emergency of the waterways. So, I'm gonna pose it to Ken as far as what protects us from somebody coming and saying, well, wait a minute, you gave the swim team X amount of dollars and why can't we have it?
Your policy
Right.
and you've established the policy. If you deviate from the policy, that's a board determination to do that, but I suppose there's nothing that prevents someone from making that argument.
Yeah, we have that leeway in our
it's
policy.
not a lot of money. It's,
Yeah.
No, I
no,
I
I'm
completely,
just saying.
I'm
Because this
I'm agreeing with you,
7,700
but I'm
is going
agreeing with
to,
her that I don't want to set a precedent. And so I've got,
I know, but
somebody
that's why
coming.
we sit here as 5 members to decide
Yeah.
on,
well,
are
it
we
needs-
gonna do it or not?
well,
That's,
we're gonna do
at
it,
the
but I
end of the
want
day,
to,
that's just how it is.
I want it to be correctly and not an issue to where.
No, I
You
totally
get what I
agree.
mean? So
Yes.
it doesn't come back to bite us.
No.
Yeah.
So
But
with
it-
that,
It isn't something that we're going outside of our process or
This is
documentation.
a-
It's written in.
we
We
have-
can approve as a board to exceed that amount.
I just don't want to appear wishy-washy.
no, but can't we put in the motion that it's a one-time deal over the top of the $5,000 mini grant because of the urgency of the, or something or do we not even need to do that?
I mean, you can do it however you would choose to do it. It might not be a bad idea to provide the rationale for the exception to the
Mhm.
Okay.
policy.
All right. Okay,
One other comment is, you had mentioned the comment maybe that it's almost like two requests. I think that's actually absolutely prohibited in the policy to
Okay,
have,
no
because
problem.
there's that once per year requirement in
Okay,
the
all
policy
right.
as well.
okay. Okay, so with that, Amy, thank you. And we'll make a motion in the second and a vote. Whoever makes a motion, I think that we need to establish the fact that it's basically a one-time
For this year.
extension for this year on that. So going forward, it can't be, well, I'm just saying automatically
No,
repeated.
For sure.
Okay? So with that, who?
I'll
would
make a
like-
motion
okay.
to grant an additional amount for the Selma recreational. What amount are we gonna?
Okay, we're
did
gonna,
say
we agreed
2,000
the
or 1,800?
7,700 and then we're
That's-
gonna add the 2,000.
Okay, for
Uh,
two,
Yeah, but the 77 was last month.
Right.
Yeah, it
Was
was
it? Yeah.
separate. Okay.
okay. So for an additional $2,000 to the Selma Rec for the swim program. For the citizens to get in for free.
You're good with that?
Due to extenuating circumstances.
Exactly. Okay.
Okay.
Do I have a second? Okay, we have a second. So all in favor?
Right.
Aye.
I'm opposing.
Okay, so with that, I will move to item D, which is the grant proposal from Babe Ruth. Is there anybody here from Babe Ruth that wants to get up and talk?
Good evening, Chair, members of the board. My name is Cesar Luna. I am the president of Selma Babe Ruth, just took over this year, and so far we've had a very successful program. One of the things that we're seeking out for health purposes for our players is baseball is one of those sports where you overuse your arm. And we have a lot of injuries now, so we're trying to establish a program on top of what we're already doing with Babe Ruth to help prevent such injuries. So we're purchasing a bunch of bands. We are converting our garage that is right next to the snack bar into a rehab facility. So we're putting in coolers in there. That way kids aren't overheating, especially the ones that are catchers or pitchers. We're gonna have bands, a hitting cage in there, keep them out of the elements as much as we can. The one item that we are actually seeking for your assistance is a therapeutic compression ice machine. I've been off of work for about a year now. I hurt my shoulder and I go to this physical therapist, it's really good. And they put me on heat at first. I do my therapy and then they put me on this machine, and that thing, it feels great. I mean, it helps the shoulder. At that time, it reduces the swelling from all the therapy that I've been doing. And I know that a lot of these kids, after they throw 9,500 pitches, they do nothing after that. So we want to implement this program, sit them down inside this cooling center, and then ice them for at least 10 to 15 minutes. That way we help reduce the potential of future injuries with these kids. I think I gave you guys a copy of the machine and all the accessories that we are asking for. The machine is called Game Ready. It comes with an attachment of for one brace, but it doesn't come with the braces. So what we're asking for is for a left and right brace. The machine itself, a hose that does the splitter, so we can do both pitchers at the same time, and an elbow attachment. The elbow attachment is the only one that's universal. The arm one is arm specific, so you have to get a left and a right. The total cost for all those items is $49.71 with 41 cents.
You got it pretty close, huh?
He told me 5.
What was that amount again?
$49.71.
Oh, okay. Got it.
I'm sorry, what was that total again?
It's
40?
right back here. See? The next sheet,
$49.71 with
go one
41
more over.
cents.
Up at the top to the right.
Oh, okay, here it
Yeah.
is. And I just tore it. Okay, got it. Where was that?
And who is the manufacturer? If this gets approved, who is the check getting to?
The company should be on that bill. It's through Game Ready.
It's called Game Ready?
Yeah, that's the name of the item that or who makes the ice machine.
Okay.
Pro Therapy Supplies is the company that I'm ordering it through.
Where is this going to be located?
Selma Babe Ruth.
Is it-
Off of Olive and Rose.
I mean, you're gonna have the machine sitting exposed, or you're gonna put it somewhere?
No, so we have a snack bar, and then right next to it is a garage.
Oh,
that's-
yes.
It's all locked up. So we keep everything in there. We're gonna purchase the table. We already have the AC units, we have the bands. And then after when they're done with their games, we're gonna sit them in there and ice them down for 10 to 15 minutes.
Is this next to the snack bar? Is this your facility? I mean,
It's the city's, it's Selma Babe
cities,
Ruth.
right? And you're not the only baseball team that practices on that field. Is that a correct statement?
Well, we run it. Babe Ruth runs that field. So
Well, my thoughts are is there are other kids playing baseball, other teams that could have the same problems with shoulders or arms or whatever. I'm wondering how this machine could be utilized throughout the baseball. In other words, everybody has a chance to use it when they're practicing or whatever, so we get more use out of it instead of solely Babe Ruth. If that, I'm just asking if that's a possibility, because if it's good for your baseball players, it would be good for all the baseball players.
Yeah, and,
I'm just saying,
yeah,
if there was a way to,
It's just, I mean, I'm just thinking about it. There's just so many kids, then
I mean,
just
we
moving the
have 80
machine.
no, no,
I know, I just think,
I totally
we have
get it.
84
And I don't
members
know.
in our
and
our
it's just a
league right
lot
now.
of kids that, I mean, I'm sure they
Well,
can benefit,
But here's the thing,
it's just the
here's the
destruction
thing
of the
is,
machine.
let's say this got
Taking care of
granted
it.
for Babe Ruth, everyone else is gonna come and want a machine because they got the same complaints. So my thoughts are is if it's equipment that can help all the baseball players at different
Sure it
times when they're
can,
using the
but just,
field, I just don't know. I'm just asking.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Because I don't know.
I'm sure it's beneficial for, I mean, not just for baseball, but I mean, I'm asking for it because I'm running the Babe Ruth
I
program.
got you.
And we
I
have
got it.
kids that are starting to throw a little bit harder. I mean, you have kids at Little League also, but they're not throwing at the
They would be
velocity that
exempt
these
from
kids
this,
are. So,
correct, yeah.
so that's why I'm here representing that.
Right.
We are also working on going, right now, we only do 13 through 15. Babe Ruth just got approved to take 16-year-olds next year. And from there, we are also gonna do a 16, 18. So we have a huge number of kids that are gonna be able to use this machine if we go
They're
16,
more
18.
adult, closer, and
Yeah,
their throwing and pitching and use is gonna be twice what the smaller kids are.
yes.
Yeah.
So when we open it up for the 16, 18s, our season is gonna be even longer.
Yeah.
We're also talking about travel ball, whoever wants to use the facility. I mean, we're still gonna run it. It's still the city's property, but we've gotten permission to run the facilities because I maintain a lot of it there with the help of Public Works and Amy. You know, so they're trusting me to make good choices and make the right decisions for that park. And right now, the only people that have keys to that facility is myself, Fernando, and I think Sylvia might have a set of keys, and those are the only set of keys. Everything's been rekeyed.
I have a question. Say this does get approved. And I see it's a machine and people are gonna be using it. And the maintenance of it, you guys are gonna upkeep it and say it should break down. You guys will be responsible to fix that machine, correct?
Yes,
Or-
yes. So
Because
we're-
I'm just saying, I know wear and tear. Trust me, things break and I understand that, but I'm just saying that should this get approved, then you will have to have that fixed on your own. Hopefully it won't,
yes.
but we know.
Yeah, and
wear
I
and
think
tear.
it has a 3-year warranty.
That's good.
So, but it's not just anybody's gonna get to use it. Well,
I know.
I'll probably be there most of the time to set it up for everybody. Like I said, I'm there pretty much every single game,
No,
but it's not gonna be just like, hey, you guys go get ice on your own. It's gonna be, someone's gonna be there that knows what they're doing with the machine.
Hey, Caesar, this equipment looks like physical therapy grade equipment. Which other teams or leagues have it that you know?
Nobody, or not nobody that I know of. But I mean, this, like I said, I've been going to physical therapy and this machine works. I mean, it also applies compression. It's not just ice, it also applies compression. So it helps with the swelling. So, I mean, I'm just here because it's worked for me. It works for me when I'm using it. And instead of just putting ice on somebody and have them walk off and then take it off after they turn the corner, we're gonna make sure that these kids are getting their 10, 15 minutes of ice and then they can leave.
Which is really needed when you're pitching or catching.
Yeah, kids
It's-
think that they're invincible. And they'll say, oh yeah, I feel good. I want to throw another 2 innings, 3 innings. And we don't want to put them through that. So
Mm-mm.
we put a cap on how many pitches they can throw. Catchers, the same thing, how many innings they can catch. And because they're making the same amount of throws as the pitchers are. So we regulate what the kids do, and then we're gonna make sure that they're getting proper care after.
Okay, so without this machine, all the other leagues, all the other teams have been icing, wrapping to create that compression. Why this extra cost when nobody else is doing it? And it could be achieved without this cost.
Like I said, this is a machine that I've seen work for me. I'm sure ice works also, but I mean, I'm just here trying to get the best equipment for my kids.
Understand?
You know, I'm not,
Every
I'm sure I can just get them a Ziploc bag and put ice on them. But if the technology is there and the quality of recovery is there, I would rather go that route instead of just throwing ice pack on top and hoping that they're gonna put pressure on it. And a lot of times people don't ice correctly.
I'll ask you a quick question. The Selma Babe Ruth, is that a 501c3?
Yes.
Because I looked it up in the California Secretary of State Business Portal because it's supposed to have all California corporations, which would be 501c3s, and I can't find it.
Yeah, they were having a hard time finding it also because the previous board member or the previous board and president hadn't renewed it. So when we went to go renew it, they asked me for passwords and names and all the stuff. So I had to resubmit a,
I would like to reactivate it.
yes.
Do you know what the official name is? Because if for some reason it's suspended, it should still show up on the website. Is it, because I looked up it looked like on the internet, it's Selma Babe Ruth Association. I couldn't find that either.
Yeah, so I think what they did is they wrote it all as one word. And I think that's why it wasn't coming up.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's weird. I didn't know it was that sensitive. I didn't know if it had because of the lack of spaces. But yeah, so then when I called them, they said, yeah, you do have a current one, but we can't release it. We can't release any more information until you get that password.
Do you have a copy of your exemption letter maybe?
No, not on me. No, I don't.
But you probably have it at your office or something?
Well, yeah, I probably have one with our paperwork.
That would be good to get, just so we have proof, because we have to keep that, as you would understand.
Yeah, I mean, this organization's been around since '81.
Oh, I get it.
So given that issue, can we even
If it's the will of the board, it could just be conditional upon evidence of their
Presentation.
nonprofit
Okay.
status, sure.
just check? Any more questions? For Caesar from the board?
No.
No? Okay, Caesar, we'll bring it back to the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any discussion?
I just think it's a very expensive piece of equipment for the very limited number of players that are gonna use it. Limited
Oh, and
only to
that was
pitchers.
my thought. I thought if the equipment was purchased to where all little leaguers, baseball, whatever, if it was like for rehab for all the kids, then there's a benefit to spending that kind of money, not just for one team, but it makes it at a spot where everybody, if somebody has an issue on the other team from Selma, we can take care of it at that point because we bought the machine and it services hypothetically 200 baseball players versus 20 or whatever the case may be. I just thought,
It's still gonna be used for long-term, for
Oh.
continuous use.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not.
okay,
so
I'm
it's
sorry,
not
that was
one
a
team. We-
misconception, but
Have
you
to
you
be
understand
here
how it
for
was
sports.
presented. That's how I feel it's coming off.
That's a valid point, but.
Yes, so we have 7 teams that play in our league. We also have 2 other teams that we were supposed to take on. So next year, we're gonna have a potential of 10 teams. And then Fowler is also jumping on board with us because they don't have enough teams to support their Babe Ruth program. So we would have their 8 plus our 9 or our 10. So we would have 18 teams. Each team has roughly 12 players. So this year, right now, we have 84 players. So it's not just one team. multiple
I
teams. Yeah, we got,
understand. Now-
yeah, we have,
now-
we have over
now-
100 players.
Now you introduce a new wrinkle because we're fiduciary for taxpayer money from Selma to go back into the Selma deal. And having Fowler people, I'm not saying it's not a great cause, but you got to understand, we have to vote to give this money out to benefit the Selma area. So I don't know if that creates a wrinkle too. I mean, how do you stop somebody playing here in Selma from Fowler? You understand my point? But we've got ruling on this and I don't know how that lays out. If the teams are gonna be from Fowler and it's Selma taxpayer money going out to Selma entities.
Well, your policy just specifies that the recipients of the services would be residents of the city of Selma and some from Parlier.
The majority are all Selma.
Yes, yeah,
residents.
we have,
Come on.
You,
I'm just saying,
Okay,
I just get
but-
confused with
but let's.
here, I know, but look, this is a nonprofit organization. They are turning in a proposal for less than the $5,000 mini grant. But yet every time someone comes up here, it seems like there's just like, oh, hey, wait a minute, wait, there's always, who cares if they want to get the machine? It's for the kids. I know, but you have it seems to me like you have an issue with the athletic department. I mean, I don't know if you ever played sports or if you did or you didn't, I don't know, but he's requesting and everybody has the right to be heard. He's requesting, he's meeting the medical of the requirements he's asking. And it just seems like there's always something else comes up. Well, there's not enough people. We're either here to help the citizens or we're not. I mean, I don't understand if he's willing to take care of the machine. He's willing to try it out. It's under the $5,000 grant, mini grant. I mean, I
But
get
we're-
mind boggled.
We're in our rights to ask the question.
I know, I absolutely understand that. And he's trying to explain to you.
so the majority of our players are from Selma. It's Selma Babe Ruth.
Well,
We
and I'm
open,
not-
we
I'm
open
not
it up to other towns to come play, but they're not.
Right.
The-
And
the-
Caesar, I'm not looking to kiboshes.
No, I
I'm
know,
just
but I just
saying
want to know,
that-
I just want to
that
let
we
you know, it's
have our
not just one team.
guidelines,
We
yeah.
have
Yeah.
multiple
No.
kids playing
Okay,
here.
all right. I'm just explaining to myself. I'm not looking for the kaboom, to get you going. It's just that, as fiduciaries, that's the whole purpose of this board is to take Selma taxpayer money with the exception of a small part of Parlier and put it back into the community. So we're bound by that. You know what I mean? And when anybody has even the special needs kids, there's Fresno kids, there's Fowler kids, there's Kingsburg kids. It's hard to decipher all that stuff. So anyway, I apologize for any of the confusion, but I was trying to say, hey, I'm not opposed to this machine. I'm saying if you and your teams have these issues, other teams have issues. If there's a way that more kids could benefit from utilizing the machine, I'm all for it. See what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm
and so
think-
our kids that play in our league, some of them are feeding in from elementary schools here. A lot of them are feeding in from the junior high, so the junior high kids are also getting it. And then we are a feeder program into the high school. So if we start doing the 16-18 league, all those kids that are 16-18 are high school kids that are the local kids here. So it's gonna be over 100 people easily
Okay.
that have access to this machine.
Caesar, there's one thing that you might have already thought about it. I'm not sure. And again, the board's gonna vote how they feel. As a nurse, I work with ortho patients and this type of or ice wrap, we have similar ones. We cannot use that wrap for multiple patients. For hygiene, safety, it has to be one per patient to avoid cross contaminating.
We have like Deoquat that we spray on stuff like that.
Just saying, that's something I keep an eye on.
Yeah, no, I
Something to think
understand.
about.
I understand the help, the
Because-
safety of it, but
Because you're proposing one each, correct?
it's a left, a right, and then an elbow.
At $534 each. Okay,
Yeah,
You can
because
disinfect them.
because the left and right aren't universal for the shoulder. because of where it ices.
Yeah, I don't believe we can effectively disinfect fabric. But that's something to look into.
That you can use over it.
I mean, we can wrap before and put that over on top.
Put that in the hospital.
I mean, it's,
They have their thermometers. And they're covering over their little probe. You check into that? Is there something that you?
so where I go to physical therapy, they're not throwing these sleeves away. They're $500 something. So they spray them down and they clean them, they wipe them down. So I would do the same thing. I would do the same thing that they're doing. I mean, I'm not their only patient. There's multiple patients there. So they obviously know what they're doing.
Sorry.
So, I worked at the hospital here in town for 6 years. I was an ER tech and we had to wipe down and spray the tables all the time, or the beds all the time. And those were fabric.
Different kind of fabric.
I'm sure.
Okay. Thanks for clarifying that. So again, if there's no more discussion, I need a motion and a second.
I
And
make a
then-
motion to approve.
I'll second.
And again, contingent on their verification of their C3
Correct.
status.
So make that notation, please. And all in favor?
Aye.
No,
No,
it passed.
So just to be clear, the vote was 3-2.
Correct. Okay, item E is the grant proposal from Swish Boosters. So anybody here to speak on that, please?
Good evening, Chair, and good evening, Board. My name is Manjeet Dale, and I'm one of the parents, one of the booster parents on the board. I want to thank you guys for allowing me to come today with short notice and the confusion in my proposal. So I thank you very much for considering us for today. And again, I want to apologize for our team and our coaches. The plan was for them to be here today, but they're actually playing in Dinuba. And I just got word that we won both games. So I'm kind of glad that they didn't come here today. So our grant proposal, what I proposed was a shooting machine and accessories with the shooting machines. I realized that the cap for the mini grants is $5,000. My proposal was to show you as a board as to what our goal and our project is for the students on the basketball team, is to get this basketball shooting machine and some of these other equipment that comes with it. Knowing that we can only get up to $5,000, whatever we don't get from the board is what we're gonna fundraise. Ultimately, we are gonna get these items. We're here today for asking for this proposal is to get support to help us with the amount, and then we can fundraise the rest.
Now your Swish Boosters. I see an address 2428 Rodeo Street. Is that your personal address?
So I am the president for the boosters, and so right now that's what we have. Because before we were here, the individuals that were in charge, that was their address, but all the notifications come to my house.
Okay. And how many basketball players are in your Swish Boosters?
So Swish Boosters actually is, we work with students elementary and high school. We predominantly, the Swish Boosters is for the high school group, but our high school students coach the little kids during a winter league. So we kind of service, I want to say kinder to 12.
Okay. K-12. And is this, are all the kids Selma kids or are there other schools?
Selma Unified School District.
What does the machine actually do?
So it's a shooting machine. So you shoot the ball and it comes right back to you. So what the coaches want to use it for, and they're not here to really tell, but what the coaches will use it for is let the kids shoot while they can coach and do other drills. Like if the coach is busy coaching the others.
But without it, you would have a coach be the,
Right, and then this kind of can move. So if they're coaching, if we want the kids to practice shooting, you can shoot on the side. You can take the machine outside. Doesn't have to be on the court. At the high school.
have you approached the Selma Unified for funding for this?
This is an extracurricular, so they won't fund this. We would have to fundraise it as a booster. The gate for our games just covers the refs, upkeep of the gym, but other than that, balls, it's all up to us boosters to purchase. And we get a lot of donations. I do. I'm out there a lot getting donations. We're having fundraisers. So.
That it's not part of the school, right? It's
No,
not-
the
it's a
boosters, no, the boosters, we service K-12 students. It's not a part of I mean, it is part of the school because we're servicing the
Okay,
students.
because in that case, aren't they gonna use it for when they start playing against other schools?
No, because
Selma
it's,
teams, like right now, they're over there in Dinuba.
so this is just at the high school. It's like a practice thing. They don't use it
Yeah,
during the
but
games.
still, they're gonna be using it to practice with.
No, you put it inside. You would put that away because you move it around. So you have a storage unit, right?
Huh?
So we would
Yes, I
put it in the.
understand that,
right.
but what I'm saying is, you're gonna bring it out for these kids to practice with.
During practice time, not during game
Right.
days.
Okay, but then the fact is, they're still gonna use it to practice, to go play at other schools.
So these kids are competitively play at other schools,
Right.
correct? So we're using this machine as a tool to get our kids to be competitive when they go to other schools to compete and play.
Yes, I understand that, but you're still, technically, you're still using it for the school.
Unified,
me ask,
for Unified.
Uh-huh.
these kids,
Yes. It is. They are part of the school district.
why aren't we get, why?
This is an extracurricular.
Like
So
travel
they,
basketball.
they
Yeah, it's
actually, yeah, but they,
Sorry.
I mean, schools can only purchase so many, they have restrictions, right? This cannot be purchased with school money, with their money that they get.
Nor the basketballs or any of the equipment.
No, we have to
Beautiful.
fundraise that. We fundraise for it, or someone donates it.
Okay, thank you.
Just one quick question,
Yes.
same one as the last group. Is there a way you could provide your exemption certificate? I didn't see
Oh,
it in
yeah.
the application.
Oh, we have, I mean, oh, I have the number there.
Do you have a copy of the certificate? I looked it up again. I couldn't find it in the California Secretary of State. site.
Yes, we should have. We have one. I've seen it.
Okay.
Is it the IN number? INI? number?
Well, I think you may have provided an EIN as opposed to the tax ID number,
Okay,
but if you could, you should in your files have an exemption certificate. It's like
Okay.
from either the IRS or from the state of California, and it just says.
and if I can't locate it, I can get it from
Yes,
the
yeah.
IRS, correct? Yeah.
Okay, great, thanks.
Mhm.
So you question
Okay,
me.
well, do you have any more questions for the applicant?
No.
No?
I think,
Okay, thank you.
I think
Let's
it's good.
review and get a motion and a second and a vote. Is there any more discussion with the board on this item? No?
So this is a $5,000 mini grant, correct? Is what we're
Well,
requesting.
that's
She's requesting $5,000. She's
Correct.
just showing what they need to raise.
exactly.
So it still would be a
And
5,000
my question is,
to help for with the machine.
yeah,
So if it's the desire of the board to make the $5,000 contribution, perhaps the way you could do it is you could essentially commit a seed money. And then once they've raised the remainder of the amount that they desire to raise, then at that point you could then acquire the equipment. Or maybe even better yet, you could get a receipt for the equipment and handle it that way, because it is a little different than we normally do it, right? We normally are just acquiring all the equipment, but in this instance, you're really making, the lion's share of the contribution, or at least half of it. So perhaps what you could do is just get a commitment that the remainder of the dollars will be raised and then work with them cooperatively to acquire the equipment.
so that would.
So exactly, that's exactly right.
But your plan is to buy two machines.
One
One.
machine.
There was some basketball and other
Oh,
equipment.
Other stuff is just,
okay, okay, okay.
equipment.
My apologies.
So she received, okay, so just information. If she were to receive the 5,000, then the remaining of her 10,130.17, she would have to raise the 5130. You were saying that,
Not quite. I think maybe perhaps what they're saying is that it would be a commitment towards the actual acquisition of
just
the
the
machine,
machine.
which is
Okay.
about 6,900. So once they show you evidence that they've raised the remaining 1,900, then
1999.
then they could acquire it and just to provide you a
50,000.
receipt or something like that, consistent with the agreement.
Now, would that require coming to another meeting?
No. Now, your approval now would address it. The only
She
thing
said
I
to show
ask
Me or
as counsel is just that you obtain a copy of their exemption certificate.
Well, then I need a motion. I need.
I'll make a
second.
motion for the 5,000
A second.
help raise for the machine that the kids need.
Okay, a vote?
Yes.
No.
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 So just for the record, the motion fails 2-3.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes. Why don't you come to the podium?
So my question to you as a board is, what would it take for us as a boosters, the citizens of Selma, to get something like this approved?
I can answer for myself. When I vote for what I feel I was elected for, to grant money that's not mine for health and wellness related that can reach the most amount of citizens that it can. in my eyes, this machine, like you said, the coach, right, a coach could stand there the way they've done for years and just, pass that ball back.
Right.
To me, I see, just to answer, I see it as a luxury and not a necessity. So this would always be a no for me for that reason.
And I'm just gonna go back to kind of what Caesar said too, is why aren't we going and living up to the technology that we have? Why not use the technology we have and have our generation, our students have what we didn't have? If it's there, why aren't we having that? Why do our kids go to different school districts or different places and say, we wish we had that?
Yeah, the only thing I could
I'm
say
just
is
saying that that's
that's where that's where the fundraising would come. I don't feel that it's my position to grant taxpayer money for luxury, not a versus a necessity. That's my view.
And look, I agree with him and I understand your point. It's very valid. But even the basketball for Selma High or anywhere else, I don't see them acquiring these machines.
So this is gonna be at Selma High.
Yeah, but you're only one using it, right?
No, we're not the only ones using it. Selma Unified is gonna use it. The girls can use it. The boys can use it. I'm here as a Swish Boosters proposing for this. Once it's in the gym, the students can use it. The PE, when the students are having basketball,
Well, I don't believe that was presented that
No.
way. It sounded like.
You said it was
just for the-
extra curricular
correct-
activity.
yeah.
this is an extra.
Yeah, but it
I-
had
I
nothing to do with
understand,
the
but I
school
think-
district.
I think the way you presented it was just for your
No,
specific, well,
Yeah.
that's how it came across. Because I'm thinking to myself, if this is something for Selma Unified for the schools and all that, I think you should be approaching them for the equipment. And that's where you should go. And then when you get turned down by them, if you got turned down by them, you would approach us. And if you got turned down by us, then you could do it with, like you said, through the old basic fundraising and stuff like that. But based on how you presented, I think everyone's in agreement with me. It sounded like it was for your group of kids, like Caesar talked about his Babe Ruth people. Nobody else is going to touch that thing for the shoulder. It was just solely for his kids. And I was thinking, hey, well, maybe I could change my mind if it was a piece of equipment that all the kids get to use.
so it is K-12. It's K-12. So when we have our clinics for the kinder through 12th grade, they can use it. It's gonna be in the gym. It's gonna be locked up. If they need to bring it out, they can bring it out. When they're kinder, those kids they have up to 12 years to use it. That one student that's in kindergarten can use it for up to 12 years.
Now you're pitching it in a different
Mhm.
tone.
Well, I
I'm
didn't know I
sorry.
needed to pitch it this way.
Well, You have to pitch it the way it's gonna work. I mean, you presented it as,
I
it's
mentioned
just
K-12.
ours. Yeah.
Well, no, I mentioned we work with K-12 students.
no, I understand that
Right.
because
Well, that was how I proposed it.
I
Sorry.
understand. And how you propose is how we voted on it.
Mhm.
And now you've changed it up because we voted no. And now you're making it to where I think it's a little bit more presentable and wider spectrum because Anthony established he himself was against it because it was limited use. And I think all of us can agree that's how it was presented.
I
So at
think
that
Anthony
point-
disagrees because he thinks it's a luxury, right?
Hmm.
Right. And I feel like if for our kids, why not get the best? Why not get high end, not high end stuff, but if the technology's there, let's use it.
Oh. Excuse me. The vote stands. It's 3-2. I don't know whether she can, with it, a no, can she come back at another time after she's done funding? If
Yeah,
she's gone,
I mean, If the application hasn't been made, I certainly don't understand why the only issue would be is if you funded and then there's that 12-month prohibition,
it,
but
got it.
I don't see why.
And I don't know
authorities-
how you're asking a citizen to come back and ask for something that you guys denied. Why would I come back?
Well,
Right? I'm just saying, why would I?
This is true. I'm just saying that
Right.
we finished the vote, as you well know.
I'm
right,
not
based-
asking to revote. I'm up here asking, what would it take for someone to get something approved is what
Well,
I'm
I just
asking.
mentioned it. You can come back and try again. I don't know what else to tell you. But right now it's 3-2 no.
Right.
Okay. Excuse me. Okay, next item is F. Report from ad hoc committee consideration of approval to executive agent on the behavioral RFP. And I believe that's Anthony and myself.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Dr. Raul Ayala. I am a family doctor. I serve as a medical officer for ambulatory care here in Central Valley Network Adventist Health. I've been a physician here at Selma for 10 years. I did my residency here at this hospital, and I practice down the street, community medicine, and also in the hospital. Stopped doing hospital medicine, and I chair our behavioral health integration into primary care. And so I am here to talk about or discuss the proposal for the grant that's available for mental health through the board. I can tell you that mental health has continued to be a crisis, and the access to mental health is continuing. We have just in the city of Selma, we have our hospital that's been here quite some time, and our clinics now have behavioral health integration. We have a clinic that's down the street where we have primary care and behavioral health. And the behavioral health team consists of psychiatry, psychology, and licensed clinical social workers. And why we came here as a team is because we are integrated into the work that we do. Donald here is the director of the ER, and we have Adelie, who's our grants manager, as well as Eileen, who is the manager of the ER. And a lot of the work that we do is a continuum. So if I'm going to walk you through, if I may here, if a patient goes into the ER and they have a 5150 or they have a diagnosis of mental health or substance use disorder, we have patient navigators and nurses that help the patient along with our doctors. But the most important thing that we have to do is make sure that we integrate them back into the community with a primary care doctor and also a behavioralist. And we have that here. I think this proposal here that we present in front of you is to enhance that care. We would have a licensed clinical social worker that would be full-time to help with the ongoing behavioral health needs that we have. In our ambulatory, we do have specialty in psychiatry, and we do have addiction medicine that we have available for our patients. I don't know if Donald wanted to mention anything, but we're open to questions because I think there was some questions. I do want to clarify on the original proposal versus what we have today. Is the proposal would be that the licensed clinical social worker would be in the ER 3 days, and in the ambulatory care. And I do want to add one thing that we do here in Selma is not only do we do behavioral health and primary care in our clinics, but we also have mobile clinics that are out here at the parks. And we do the homeless project that's out here and not too far from here every Friday. And that also has where we have mental health providers that are providing through mobile care, which this would again continue through the ER hospital clinics and mobile care and back around to assure that these patients in Selma are getting that continuum of care and integration that they deserve. I don't know, Don, if you want to.
I don't have a copy of that proposal.
So real quick, to answer, the ad hoc was Danny and myself. So we did contact her. We spoke to Eileen earlier this week. We had questions. There was concerns. So that's why we requested him to come here before we actually
Brought it to
move
you
this,
guys.
this
So you guys
original.
would have it I'm sorry, attempt to ask questions also.
Right, before we moved it forward for a vote, we requested that they kind of go back, talk about their proposal. See if they can kind of take some of our concerns and address those and modify it possibly before we actually present it to the board for a vote.
Is it your thinking that the vote would occur today or at the next meeting?
I would think the next meeting,
Okay.
because, yeah, we still had a lot of questions. And then we only were able to speak to Eileen. It was the last minute conference call. So Eileen was gonna go back, or was it Elaine? Elaine, sorry. Elaine was gonna go back and kind of share our concerns. And then we can go from there.
Hey, guys, I'm Don Calhoun. I've been with Adventist Health specifically in the ER for, I think, just over 20 years. I'm certainly a part of the community. I live next door, shop at Food for Less, hang out at the Walmart. So I'm very in tune with our community's needs. And when I heard that you had some concerns, getting the report from Elaine, I realized like those are really good questions to ask. But I think the biggest concern that we have right now, when Dr. Ayala talks about the continuum of care, that's really going to be the theme, right? Is that currently, excuse me, in the ED, there is no service for people in crisis. So as a orthopedic nurse, is that your background?
Recovery, surgery recovery.
Recovery, okay. So there's a moment of crisis in any patient, right? Whether they're there for surgery, to have maybe an acute care type like appendicitis done, or in this case, in mental health, when someone is at crisis. Currently, the Selma ED for the last 20 years has not had or met the standard that other ERs in our community have, which is a full-time social worker to address that crisis. What Dr. Ayala brings up, which is a great point, is then the follow-up that's needed, right? The continuum of care to kind of keep them from another crisis moment or to address those needs throughout their lifetime. So the process currently at Selma is if you are in crisis, and behavioral health falls under a lot of things, right? It could be depression, anxiety, eating disorders. There's a ton of it, right? Currently, you are evaluated by an ER physician who's great, but is certainly not a specialist. They are then put on a 5150 hold, and we attempt to place them. Oftentimes, they stay several days. And the gap in that continuum of care that truly does exist, which is concerning for all of us, is that there is no one there to help treat them and or provide them the community resources that are available to them in Fresno County and Selma. So there is definitely something to be concerned about, and it's caring for our citizens the way I feel they should be cared for.
I do want to add though, thanks, Donald, is that when we talk about licensed clinical social workers, those are actually added, that is an added technicality of knowledge. So you have your regular social workers that we do have in the hospital. But the important piece is that the licensed clinical social worker has more training in behavioral health. And I think that we want to get to where we have optimal care for our patients. And they help us navigate those patients into our clinics where we can establish them with mental health providers and doctors. Because a lot of the patients that we see don't have doctors, number one. And number two, a lot of what we're seeing right now is adolescent behavioral health issues. And we just know we're not getting to everybody. And so I think that's where we come here. Now I am here in regards not only from an Adventist Health as the medical officer for our clinics, but really is questions from you about any of the proposal and what we currently do in our work today.
Okay, where would this be located at?
At the Selma Hospital,
And
in
then,
the ER,
okay,
and the adjacent clinic that steps away from.
and then what is this, like 24 hours?
Yeah, so this is a shift work. So this would be a licensed clinical social worker, 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week.
And what is they ask, what are they asking? Or have you guys got to that point yet, or what they're asking?
What
from
we're
us?
asking here for the proposal is $100,000. that was in the original. However, Adventist Health would there is a page there where $100,000, the project is actually not only a licensed clinical social worker, but also a medical assistant that would serve as a navigator. So the total here is about 240,000, 222,380 and 83 cents as total expenses.
That they're matching our 100.
Exactly. So if you recall, the way the RFP was structured is that
We
the-
match funds.
the partner would have to, at a minimum, match the contribution, whether it's in kind or cash, to the project. And I think that's what Adventist is saying, is that
This is all age,
Yes.
all age.
Yes.
citizens, Okay.
Yes, and we would have, again, our clinics, our ER, our mobile care, and also virtual care. That's another thing that we've added.
You've been seeing a lot of that here.
So I can tell you that from
Yeah.
the last data report for this hospital, our top two diagnoses of mental health is depression and anxiety. And then third and fourth, we have substance use disorders. And that saddens me that I have to say that it's not adults. It's all ages where we see this issue.
And so just to add on to that, specifically with pediatric patients, the way Fresno County runs their psychiatric facilities is there is such a huge demand for pediatric behavioral services that literally we can't find them. So these children end up staying in an ER on a legal hold with their parents for days and days, often seeking help out of county or out of state. And so that's why we're asking for this grant money, because we feel that they deserve more.
This project here, or this proposal that we have, is the optimal program. You know, this is where you would have both the ER in the hospital and the clinics providing mental health services. And not just mental health services, but also addiction medicine, which is very key for a lot of what we're seeing right now with opioids and fentanyl. We have that available in person, and we also have it virtual. So patients would be able to, unfortunately, they would be in the ER of the hospital. The licensed clinical social worker would help them, would navigate them, would hand off to the clinic, would probably end up seeing myself right next door. And we'd establish them with the psychologist, psychiatrist, and if they need substance use disorders, we have an addiction doctor every week. And that would be part of this whole picture of comprehensiveness for this project.
How long will this program run?
Well, the proposal, I believe, is for a year, but we have committed to the program. So this would help jumpstart our program. And it would actually enhance the program that we have right now, because we do have existing behavioral health therapists on the outpatient. What this project really does is it bridges both the hospital and the ER and the clinics for patients. When they get discharged, a lot of the times they don't know when their next appointment will be with a behavioral therapist. They're going to have to go back to their primary care doctor if they have one, get a referral. However, when you do this, you pivot and you think about it, you say, well, before you leave the ER or the hospital, you already have an appointment, because this person would be the navigator for that patient or that family. And in the children, we would need that. Now, the really important part to this clinical social worker is that this would be their focus. This would be total focus in the ER in the hospital, and we would track patients to assure that we are establishing them by care.
a couple quick questions.
Yes.
So the navigator is really focusing on non-5150 patients. Would they also be working to try to relieve the burden on the emergency room side of someone who is a parent on a 5150 hold?
Well, the way, and I'll let Donald give detail, but the way that this works is you have the 5150 patient. That is a crisis. You guys, you call there's the sheriffs involved, there's police involved, or there's the crisis center that is in Fresno County. However, when you have a licensed clinical social worker, somebody that is apt and understands the behavioral part, you're going to help them along with their history, recommendations, because a lot of the times what you're doing is you're talking to them while they're getting there. And so they're learning about resources, they're learning about all of that instance there, but they're part of the care team. So really what we envision is that this would kind of put us on the map around how the city and the hospital and the clinics are working together to assure that patients, when they come into the hospital, are not coming back to the hospital. Because we know that the hospital and the ERs are not the place that we should be treating these people. I don't know if you want to add anything about 5150.
No, I think that's it. Yeah. And only that licensed social work in itself is really an art. I don't know if you have family members or friends. A lot of that is that individual is a master at working the resources that are available in our community. And that's where our citizens are disadvantaged, is that we don't have that individual. There's no focusing on that care, right? I mean, we talk about meeting the standard in which other ERs like Community System, Trinity Health, St. Agnes, they're already there. We're 15 years behind, right? That should have been a service that we had, long ago.
Then the thing that I will add for you folks is the important part here that I've seen in my last 10 years of practice is that when you have a patient that's got multiple medical problems and an added behavioral health and the social determinants like homelessness, transportation issues, food insecurity, money right now with the inflation, people are having a lot of mental issues, and we need to address them very differently because the way that we're structured right now, healthcare is not giving us the best. This will allow us to start looking at how do we get better. But the important part and why I wanted to come tonight was because mental health and addressing the issues in our communities is not a one person thing. It's not a one organization thing. It's a everyone's thing. And so I thought this was a great partnership for us to catapult off of and maybe do that in other cities where we could do that. However, Selma there's a blessing here because we have the clinic that has all those mental health providers. The rest of the people have to come to Selma to receive mental health providers. So we have that here, which this proposal would just connect all those people to the ER, hospital, outpatient clinics.
Make no mistake, we're not saying that this one individual is going to take
No.
on the world and solve all our problems. But what this is a great opportunity, right, for us to kick off and start connecting those dots as a community, right? It is our plan. We've already made a promise to $140,000 on our part. But what this is a kickstart for us budgeting other positions like this in the future. We have the platform at the clinic level. We'll have, if we get this grant, the resources at the acute level, right, at the crisis point, get that continuum of care going.
Thank you for coming, because on our conference call, the concerns I had, the way the RFP was submitted was the licensed clinical social worker would work the 2 days in the emergency and then the rest of the time in the clinics, and it's saying that your clinics are about 2 months wait list. So my concern was I didn't want to provide the funding for the social worker
with the backlog.
to help with current caseloads of, maybe non-Selma citizens. I really am on board with the emergency aspect of it, all the 5150s and helping to place those and move the patient, get them the care they want. It's the other needs of, let's say, the citizens in Selma who, let's say, teenagers could have like bullying, stress, suicide thoughts, drug addiction, crisis. How, let's say it's not to the point where it's a crisis, but how do they access care in this? If it's not a crisis to get to the ER, how do they access like the therapist?
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up because it's important for me to give you a clear picture about what happens in the community. We do have existing meetings with the superintendent about how we can get into the clinics. How we can get into the schools with first awareness for the teachers, for the parents, and how they can access us. We have, at this point, let's just say a nurse, because we do get phone calls from the nurses at the schools here in Selma. I have a kid who I think is really depressed or are telling me about suicidal ideation. They're thinking about, or they're thinking about guns. I've had this happen. And they say, well, what do I do? I said, well, you need to send them to the clinic. We need to take care of them. Family physicians are also trained in behavioral health. We're not specialists, but we are trained to understand, to diagnose, and to treat. The therapist, on the other hand, would help with that. Psychiatrists are different because they're medical doctors that can prescribe medication and can also admit you to the hospital. So with that said, is this proposal here is not only just the continuum, but what we have to do as medical providers is we have to get into the schools to teach parents, to teach teachers, to teach the principals and leadership about what that is. I am actually going to those superintendent meetings because we're actually holding a 3 superintendent meeting out of Reedley to address this issue because we want to have continuum of education at their PTO meetings, because this is not gonna stop. We have to interfere, we have to intervene. And yes, this proposal is for the continuum, but in reality, mental health should be treated in the community. It should be treated by a family doctor, a therapist, a licensed clinical social worker, not in the ER. I'm happy that we have this program starting in the ER because there are a lot of patients that come in there, but the bulk of the work is actually on the outside. And just for you board members, a detail about this person is they will not be working, they will not be doing operational management, meaning they will not be the ones to take care of referrals. They will not be, doing the faxes or the getting approvals of insurance. They are actually there to treat, to help with the continuum. If they need to, they know how to do it. But there are other folks that are actually working that part. So, when we mentioned the backlog is probably acknowledging what is forward, what is more acute, what is more severe, because that's more knowledge. How do I get them more of that knowledge? So I just wanted to make sure that was this. I want to clarify that this role would not be to take care of something we need to take care of. No, this is actually innovative. This what I'm presenting in front of you is not done everywhere. What Donald just mentioned is this is taking us into a next level that I feel comfortable as a physician saying, hey, you know what? You end up with the ER, you're going to end up in one of our clinics. That's the connection that this proposal has in front of you.
Can I
Yes,
ask you a question?
Yes.
With the demographics, you've got other patients or potential patients coming from other cities, and they don't have the facility that Selma has that's providing. Do they have health boards or areas to get money, grant money to keep the program going?
That might be something that we look into. But I know that this social worker, this navigator would help us with identifying who's coming to the Selma hospital, who's coming to the Selma ER, and how do we get them into our Selma clinics? Because that's what the majority of our patients are from Selma.
And keep in mind that, these days and these wait times, they affect all of us, right? If we have a couple patients taking a bed for several days, that's longer the rest of our community has to wait. It's all interconnected. No one is free from that rolling time clock, right? That starts when you step into the ER, regardless of where you come from.
During this process, again, we're granting for a year, but I kind of like to extend more than just money. I think members of the board, or at least ad hoc committee, can be possibly involved with those meetings? Just so we can just kind of stay up on what's happening in the community with the schools, how are we taking advantage of the funding?
I would love for you guys to be a part of it, and I would love to even come and give you an update on how we're doing to you, Mr. Chairman, and the board. And our events that we're doing, that we're gonna be doing, that we're continuing to do, but this would kind of boost the activities that we're doing. The other thing is that we do have, and you're welcome, as you all as a member, you're welcome to come to our Transitions of Care committee that we have, where we can invite our community. And Transitions of Care is a committee that was created, we created it, where you have hospital leadership and you have clinic leadership, where you're talking about how do you better interact between the ER, the hospitals, and the clinics. Because we know that a lot of the times you have issues with getting appointments and how quick we can get to certain appointments. And so both of our clinics have specialists. So it's not only mental health, because sometimes they need, a diabetic doctor, or they need somebody else to take care of them. We have heart doctors. We have a lot of the times what we find is that when we have these patients that have not been taking care of themselves, or they end up with a 5150 or a substance use or an overdose, they don't have a doctor. And they haven't had blood work. They haven't had a mammogram. They don't know who their doctor is. They might have high blood pressure and they don't even know. So what we want to do is not only take care of their mental issues, but we want to establish them to have a doctor and to take care of them and to take care of their families.
Just a quick question. So this district initiative process, which is the $100,000 pool that the board has held for this project, this is really new for the district, because historically the district is kind of considered proposals sort of on a piecemeal basis, but this is sort of driven in effect by the priorities of the board. The question, I guess, is, and this was in the RFP, was, would you be open to working with the district at the outset to determine objective matrix to evaluate the success
Yes.
of the program?
Yes.
So the board could go
And-
back to it?
Yes, and we do have data analytics that we have currently. We have data right now that we review that can be presented on diagnostic codes. So our diagnostic codes, we have Excel sheets that give us all the ER patients that, let's just take May, all the patients that came into the ER and the hospital, what are all their diagnoses? We can create a subset of all the diagnoses for mental health, substance use, 5150s, overdoses, all of that. We have all of that characteristic. And also what we're tracking already is how many of those patients that were seen in the ER for a mental health disorder or hospitalized had a follow-up appointment in the ambulatory. We track that. We track that already. And Mr. Chairman and the board, if you would like, we could give you updates on data so you can see what we're tracking and how many
Baseline
patients.
and
Yes.
sort of continual and then concluding data.
And I can also give you another data point where every one of our patients that walks into the ER or the hospital gets screenings for depression, anxiety, and social determinants of health. So those are the things that we're asking about. We're asking about, did you come in a taxi? Do you have a way to get home? Do you have food? Do you have a home? We ask all those questions because they're important to know, if I discharge this patient today, are they going to make it home? And so those are the things that we're already tracking. We would just find a way to be able to give you exactly what you feel. What we track are standard, CMS type quality indicators. And we already track that. This would just enhance, and we could present that data for you and say, hey, you know what? You guys are on track. Wow, I didn't, and it would give you an insight into how many people are actually in the city of Selma, how many people actually have come in with a mental health disorder.
You'd have to aggregate it.
Right.
We're not.
Right. But it would give you, I could give you the top 3 diagnoses, number of patients, number of treated.
And certainly we're driven by that data, right? And because like I said, this is really a kickstart to something bigger. It's addressing mental health, and we know that's a national, it's a worldwide crisis. So we're already geared, we already have the platform, we have the systems.
Well, that was a couple of the questions,
I'm just wondering.
because this is kickstarting it. So what happens to year number 2? How are you going to, will you be able to continue this program solely on your own? Because I think what our board is doing is every year we pick a different topic. You know, this year we chose mental health. Next year it could, it could be an array of different issues where our help or help with another institute would go partnership. So my question is, I would hate to see this thing not go past 365 days. So are you guys capable of, with our little contribution, in other words, you guys would fly on your own?
Yeah, so I could speak to this a little bit on the Labor Management Committee side. So this idea really is, it's an important pilot program, right? So that we can go then to our Labor Management Committee, show them the numbers, right? Show them that we're $100,000 short of implementing this and have the data to show what we've done in the ER. So that's why those numbers and data are very important to us, right? To keep, because we're not looking for another year, right? From a grant, we're looking at expanding this to
How to
2 or
be
3 people.
self-contained?
Right?
Yeah.
And so what this does is this money allows us to really look and dive deeper into those numbers and then go to our network and our corporation and say, hey, this is how important the need is in this.
Perfect.
And that's what I would, as the chair of our behavioral health integration, this would be a winning ticket for me to go to Reedley, to Larry, Hanford, and continue that trajectory to say, hey, this program we started in Selma, this is what we did. This is how well it worked. I know from the Adventist side, this is what we do, right? This is why we have behavioral therapists. This is why we do those things. But I think this would catapult us into a different venue where I can assure you that we would continue the process anyway, because this is the right thing to do for us. We just would need this to help us and show our president that
it worked.
Yeah. And the funds are available, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
ready to put it to work.
Okay. Do we?
Oh, yeah. At this time, thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you.
Open up to public comment. Anybody out there that's got any questions or any concerns? As if we don't know, but protocol, please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Jim Avalos, 1701 Dinuba. Mental health is a major issue. I understand that. And believe it or not, state of California is coming to Selma, funding a major project for mental health, believe it or not. And the reason why I know, because I'm a part of it, okay? This process has been working for about a couple of years now. And the group will be coming to the healthcare board and probably showing a video of what is coming to the city of Selma. And we understand the issues as far as mental health, ER and other stands like this, the county workers. So we are addressing these issues as diligent as we can. We understand these because we know mental health is a major factor over this country right now, not just in Selma, but across the nation. We understand that. So the idea is okay, how do you fix the problem? Do you just treat them and send them home? No, you got to find the problem. Where's the issue at? If they need to be housed under supervision, you find the housing. So the only way you can do that, you got to find the money. And Lord and behold, the state of California has blessed Selma, California, here in Selma, with some funding. Little do you know, okay? But the issue itself is, I know the hospitals, and I've been in police right along, guys. When 5150s, I know we dealt with them. I used West Side Fresno, no big deal. It's the situation when you bring them into the hospital by police officers, they're cuffed. And you cannot put them in next to a room with a normal patient. That's not normal for a doctor, for the safety of the patient. So they have to be isolated in an area where safety, either lockdown facility. The only place at the time at the lockdown facility was Valley Medical. They had a special area where it was locked down. If everybody knew that area. Selma Hospital does not have that lockdown facility. You know, I know that. And it'd be a problem with some issues and liability issues with the hospital because they would have to accommodate some of those issues, you know? So right now, when they're brought into the hospital, these doctors or these nurses treating these people, they're treated as whatever needs to be done at the time, stabilize them. And they're not going to stay in the hospital because normally they're going to be shipped to Fresno, where they're either a young program where they're treated, and there's another area for the adults or the seniors. There's, in Fresno, there's areas, but right now, the state of California is very lucky to give Selma a chunk of money for this program. We'll be bringing the presentation to you guys. The facility will be, it's already some in play already, so you won't even know they're there. The patients, when they do come and stay, whatever, they don't come out. You come visit them. If they leave after have a doctor or whatever emergency, they're evacuated from a certain area. They're not visible to the public. Surveillance cameras are in play 24 hours. There's a 24-hour staff on the site, like most hospitals have, and it'd be funded by the state of California. Yeah, just kind of let you know, I'm on the cutting
How
edge.
can we get that information? I'm just so we could see both, because we're not voting on this right now, right?
Jim, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
No, because all this is pertinent. What I'm trying to think is. Hospital.
Well, you know what it is? Go ahead.
Hospital. What is your facility?
Yeah.
That be once they get the. Or that finishing touch.
Okay.
They have a place to go.
Okay, okay,
Is that correct statement?
okay, let me clarify that. The area that will be designated will not be a high risk area. You know what I'm saying, people that will be in danger of hurting themselves or hurting other people. There'll be an area where I want to say, you know, like you said, anxiety, depression, things that will be able to be treated easily. But at the same time, areas that are high risk will be transferred to a different area where they're how would I say it, better equipped in isolation to maintain the safety of the patient and the safety of the citizens around them as well.
But you guys are gonna be, if I use the term, treatment center, correct? Is that what your facility
Yes,
will
we'll be a treatment center, and also if they have to be housed for a while, they can be housed for a while.
And so in mine, what I'm trying to put the pieces together is somebody goes into the ER and gets established. I've got here 5150. I got an arrow going to Adventist. Adventist can only establish, they only have a short window as to what's going to go on with this particular patient that's getting diagnosed. And then the end result is going to be going to a treatment center to rehabilitate them.
Yeah,
And
this
that's
area,
something that your facility is going to do.
yeah, this area will have a psychiatrist on board, physician on board as well. They're like, let's say the hospital, let's say there's an issue going on and they need a place for this individual. where these already been, how would I say it, screened not to be, how would I say it? Not to be, how would I, suicidal, in other words, suicidal or mass killer or whatever, or what you want to say it. An area where that individual could be, the doctor says, hey, I need this person. This operation will be connected with the hospitals.
Well, and what I'm
It will
saying
be
is,
connected with the
what I'm
hospitals.
saying is you guys aren't going to be working against each other.
No, we
but
were
you
working,
guys are
we'll
gonna
be
be
working
working
with them. We were working
together
with them.
as a
We're working with
direction.
them.
So in
Yeah.
other words, this
They
this
will
is
have
what
a-
I'm saying is you are going to complement what we're doing with Adventus. If this thing
Yeah,
goes,
yeah,
gets
I
put
would, yeah.
together, it's actually the 1, 2, 3 pitch.
Yeah, I'm just throwing it out there. The state of California has a chunk of money. And you gotta know how to get it. It's like, hey, yeah,
Well,
it's who you know and what you know. I'm
Well,
just gonna tell you, man.
Jim, my point is that this is all relevant.
No,
and
that is
this
all
is
relevant.
all good.
Yeah, this is all good. This is good.
Because what we're doing is our help is helping them get the program going.
Yeah,
2 is they're gonna know and get to know you and your facility as an area to take that patient to a place to where it's gonna get they are gonna get the care that they
yeah,
need
what I'm,
over a long period of time.
yeah, what I'm trying to say, Danny, is there's money at state level. You know, it's an old saying, why use your money when you can use the state money?
Well,
You know, I'm just kind of
no,
throwing it
no,
out
no,
there. I'm just. throwing it
Hey,
out to you
as
guys.
long as the
No, no.
end result,
Because you could probably use that money elsewhere. I'm just telling you straight up,
yeah.
you know, I'm not gonna color code it. There's money in the state level that, you know, for mental health right now, a chunk of money, major money. Is you go know the right people how to get it. It's easy. Trust me, it took a while. Took me 2 years, but I met with the state people already as well. Met with the people that are gonna run it. And they're real reputable. And you'll be impressed.
Okay.
And I'm willing to help you guys.
All right. Hey,
Okay.
thank you very much, Jim.
All right, meet you outside. No problem. Let's go.
This was a good thing. Okay. Yeah, anybody else in the public who would like to get up and discuss this subject matter? If not, I will close public and bring it back to the board. Any questions that you have for anybody out there or any discussion? I know you weren't,
I just don't have a copy of the proposal, but
this
are we-
was,
Are we voting on this right now?
no.
Okay, we're
no,
not, right?
no.
Okay. I just,
extra copies?
okay, I just wanted,
We wanted
but how
you
can we
to
get,
hear and absorb.
can we get his information of that?
Well, he's gonna present it to us.
Okay.
That's
Just
gonna
so-
be,
And just
It's a
to,
good,
just to
it's a
be,
good thing. I mean.
just to be
everything's
clear,
good.
the board has released an RFP and Adventist responded to the RFP. And the action would be, and it could actually be at this meeting, the way this is considered, or it could be at a future meeting, and then the board would either approve or disapprove of the proposal from Adventist. And then if it disapproved, then you'd have to, you could reissue an RFP or do something else, but that is the way it's structured.
So we could, in this meeting today, we can motion to approve on condition of modification of the current RFP to what we discussed tonight,
You mean the proposal?
the proposal.
You could, so what, if it's your intent to approve tonight, then you would approve condition on the delegation to the ad hoc committee to negotiate an agreement with Adventist, which would include modifications to the proposal. But the baseline would be correct, that it would be up to $100,000. It would be for a year. There'd be metrics to determine the success of the program. Those things would not change.
I would tend to, again, we're just talking, to put it for a vote tonight based on, I believe we're in consensus that we want to partner.
Mhm.
It's just the actual documentation that needs to be adjusted to what we discussed tonight, because it is a little bit different.
it was explained to us when we had a conference that I'll use the term suit, wrote this, right? And so it's a very general form. So when you get it and you take a look at it, it wasn't written by any of us that are associating or trying to put this in better terms to where we're both I'm trying to think that we're both approve what's going on here. It's kind of, vague, the days that the social person would be working and what's going on. And I think that's the thing that is the only thing that's not, we're pumping the brakes because we just had questions. And as Anthony and I are the ad hoc committee, I wanted you guys to inform the other three, so the five of us are all on the same page along with you. And then we got an opportunity to talk to you and ask you guys questions. So I want everyone to feel very comfortable. This is a big move for the city of Selma and for you guys and for us. And I want it done right. The last thing we want is to anything like this to fall flat on our faces, because the direction is incredible. And now, along with Jim Avalos and the next leg of this journey, it's all the pieces the gears are meshing together. It's perfect. So I agree with Anthony. I'm very comfortable with voting on the fact that this proposal, the union between Selma Health Board and Adventist Health, is a good thing, given the fact that we iron out a couple wrinkles or whatever. And again, I want the other three of our board members to be comfortable with what's going on. And I've seen a lot of shaking of the heads, you know what I mean, that we are going in the right direction. So with that, I would like comments from everyone.
I think this is great. I think that's what we're here for is to move forward and to partner for the health of our community. And it is a big chunk for behavioral substance abuse, mental health, all that is what we're here for, is why we were voted in, is to make sure that we're spending the taxpayers' money where responsibly. And I agree, we should move forward with the vote.
How you guys feel?
I'm fine with it.
You good with it?
I just wanted some more information with this facility and like, what's the time frame this is gonna be in place? And I know
Talk
you're,
about Jim's, what Jim
Yeah.
talked about, that's coming. That was.
yeah,
one of
that's
us.
what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's what's
yeah.
like, just
So,
wanting more
so
information on
what this
those.
is,
I don't even-
what this is gonna be, excuse me, is a preliminary stepping stones to the mental health. And then I think what's gonna go, and again, I'm speaking just like you, I know just as much as what everyone else is. I think that the institute that Jim's talking about is something that is gonna be beyond our grasp, because it's gonna take, we're gonna get the patients to Adventist Health to be examined. And then it's your job to work with Jim or other facilities that are gonna help, that it's kind of gets out of our hands as far, but this preliminary of what we got going with this proposal, I think is fantastic. So you got my yes already from me. So if we want to vote, let's put it to a vote on the proposal. We need
Motion.
a motion.
I make a motion to approve, but I can't remember how you
Let
want
me,
to.
maybe I could help a
Yeah,
little
let's
bit.
have Ken do
I
it.
might craft your motion, and if you want to make the motion based upon the way I described it.
Yes,
So it would be a motion to enter into an agreement with Adventist Health. You would delegate the scope of the agreement to the ad hoc committee, and that is comprised of Director Herrera and the chair. And then also for me to negotiate with Adventist on the terms of the contract, but that the basics would apply, and that it would be $100,000 limit, and it would be spent during the course of 1 year with matrix to determine
right,
if what kinds of success you're having with it.
right.
So
Okay.
that
I
would
make a
be
motion
crafted
like
as a
that.
motion.
Okay.
And do we have a second?
Second.
Do we do an individual vote?
If you choose to, it's within your discretion.
A one-time donation of 100,000 and then they come back if they have to. They need some more funding. down
I
the road
don't know
or
if
not.
that's how the RFP is written. It's not.
It's not.
It's a one-year deal. And that's why I was asking them as far as,
Okay, so this
as-
is just a.
just as a
step inside. Okay.
one-time
Got it.
partnership. We're providing, I'll use the loose term of seed money to get this program going. And then from that point on, next year, it's our job to pick and choose a different subject
Okay.
matter. You see what I
Or
mean?
the same.
Or the same.
Or the same.
Or the
We-
same.
We could fund again next year
Yeah,
if
yeah.
we're satisfied or we
And
see
that's just- that
success.
was just for your clarification. So with that, do you want to individual vote or would you like just everyone say aye?
Debbie, do you want to do a roll call quickly?
Chair Seremian,
Yes.
Vice Chair Herrera,
Yes.
Treasurer Gallardo,
Yes.
Avalos,
Yes.
and for Alanis,
Yes.
all in favor. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I have just one word?
Sure.
Before when we wrote this and, just thinking about me living here in Fresno and I work here for the last 10 years. And the reason that I wanted to come down here is not only to talk about this proposal, but I think as a healthcare district, as you ma'am mentioned, I wanted to make sure that the work that we're doing is being done for our communities. And a lot of the things that we see in our clinics and our hospitals, I wish we could do more. I really wish we could do more. So what we have done today, and I appreciate and I love the fact that unanimously you voted yes. But one thing that I am going to assure all of you members is that this is not just going to be, one of these feel good, hey, we did the right thing. This is the start. And I want to give you, Mr. Chairman, and the board, the commitment that we will pull this through.
Very good.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Real
have
quick
a
question. Who do I contact for the receipt and to do the?
That's Miss Adelie.
We're not there yet.
Yeah, I think we're probably,
No, but is your information on this one right here?
We have a little bit of ground to cover.
yeah, I think
Oh,
we're
okay.
probably a few weeks away from even
Because we're
Okay,
gonna
so
go
they'll let
about
me- okay.
strategic
Well,
rate.
they'll let
Yeah.
me know then.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
And
Thank you.
I'll
Hey,
leave,
thank
I'll
you.
leave my information.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Oh, no.
I have to admit, that felt good.
We're supposed
Yeah,
to do.
exactly.
Oh, so I just, really quick, I just want to let the board know that we received.
Oh, well, you know what? We didn't. Oh, but
No,
this is
there's no
special.
finance.
There's no finance. Yeah, it's a special meeting.
So it's 93,815.94. So I will deposit that.
That almost took
say
care of it,
tomorrow.
didn't
If you
it?
have time, then maybe we can meet.
Yeah.
I'll get a hold of you.
Okay, so we have one more, the last action item. This is the decision to hire Rick Jackson, CPA, as the district auditor.
so Price, Page and Associates walked away from us. And Debbie, to her credit, did a search for an auditor, and it sounds like you have one that's incredibly well qualified, considering that this firm does multiple healthcare districts throughout the state of California. So they're very experienced. Their bid seemed reasonable, and it seems like pretty easy.
Straightforward.
I'm good with it. All
So
right, we need it.
basically, there's really, if there's any discussion, we can. If there's no discussion, then we make a motion and second and take a vote.
I make a motion to approve.
Yeah, I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed.
Okay.
Oh, I have one thing before we wrap up. Danny, earlier you mentioned the mini grant process and putting a hard cap on the 5,000. Our current documentation is stating that as a board, we're able to vote to go above that if we choose. And as we've seen, we've also gone below that. We've kind of looked at some of the proposals and actually have granted less based on what they're asking for. So I just want to make sure, do we want to put that hard cap
Well,
and limit ourselves, or do we want the flexibility?
Also.
that was because of this. You know, we asked them we asked them to take it down to 5,000 because they came in, yeah, I'm not trying to point fingers,
Right.
okay? They came in at 23,000. They came in at 10,000. And the mini grants are at 5. So my point is, they were reluctant to appease us by bringing it down, and then the way she presented, and again, my personal opinion is she presented in one way and then backpedaled after the vote.
Right.
And I'm deviating off the trail, but to let you understand why I made that statement was primarily for the benefit.
Right, I understand that. At the same time, I think we're kind of limiting the opportunities out there. If there's something that comes along and it really, really could benefit from a little more.
Could I suggest that perhaps at the next meeting that you place an item on the agenda to talk about this so you can actually give it, a little bit of thought and because we don't have it on the agenda for tonight, but certainly that's a very appropriate discussion for a future meeting, and with the recommendation, you could even have the chair appointed ad hoc so you can sit down and talk about it, a recommendation. of the
And
board.
I'm not opposed to that. It just said struggling with this, and Debbie has become the liaison between the applicant and me, and whatever, it's getting out of hand. And so yes and no, I wasn't trying to be discussed at the next meeting. So we'll put it on. And by the way, item 9, our next regular meeting is August 1st. So we'll put that on the agenda and discuss it between all of us.
One more thing really quick.
Go.
Okay, so do you remember when the Little League came, when we were back at okay, so they've never come for the $4,580. They've never contacted, they just never have. I'm just letting you know, so.
Okay, well, we'll just,
I mean, I'll contact them again, but I don't know, normally people want their money right away, and this is.
all right.
it's
So,
just-
so with that, we're, and again, I didn't mean to run you over, but
No, it's
yeah,
okay.
just find out.
Oh, I do.
We'll find out on that. So-
Mr. Chair, on item number 9, I just wanted to let everybody know, and this is, you do not schedule meetings around me, but I'm going to be out of state that day. So I can have someone sit in my place. That's not a
Okay.
problem, or,
Was it Craig?
yeah,
Okay. Enjoyed him.
yeah, he's a great guy.
So if that's the case, your sub is wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No,
But in a pinch. So with that, number 10 is adjournment. I move that we adjourn the meeting.
I'm gonna do this really quick.